welcome to the October edition of the O'Neill 100 at the Provincetown Public Library, a year-long celebration of the 100th anniversary of playwright Eugene O'Neill's arrival here in Provincetown. As always, I'd like to start by thanking you all for coming tonight, and it's hard to believe that we're into the home stretch of this series here that started all the way back in January, so we're on our final three, which will culminate in the December finale. Also, as I've started doing recently, I'd like to really thank the actors for all of their work in preparing for these. I know that we bill these as readings, but I think anyone who's been in attendance over the months has realized that they're more like performances, very good performances, as a matter of fact. So all of the effort and time and practice that these actors put in, I hope none of you ever feel that it goes unnoticed. It's a very high level of theater being presented here, and we're greatly appreciative that you're doing it here at the library. Tonight we have two plays. The first is Where the Cross is Made, and the second is Exorcism, which is interesting. It was believed to be lost for over 90 years. O'Neill himself thought that he had destroyed every copy until one was discovered. So as always, to give you a little bit more info about both of those performances, I'd like to introduce the curator and director of the series, Mr. Stuart M. Derrick.
Thank you for coming tonight. We have a small audience, but that's fine. It's good to see everybody here. I just wanted to talk a little bit about the two short plays you're going to be, one-act plays you're going to be seeing tonight. We're kind of in for a treat in keeping with the Halloween season. We have a ghost play by O'Neill. I think the only one he ever wrote, Where the Cross is Made. And it is not one of his better known plays, but in keeping with the whole philosophy of this reading series, we're doing them in as much chronological order as we can. And the other one, as Matt said, is Exorcism. Exorcism was presumed lost, and this is where O'Neill, in the back of your program, his wife Agnes Bolton comes onto the scene. They ended up not having a very happy marriage. In fact, Where the Cross is Made was actually a short story that Agnes Bolton wrote, but O'Neill sort of like appropriated it and turned it into the one-act play you're going to see tonight. Their relationship deteriorated as O'Neill drank more heavily. Robert Dowling, the author of the new O'Neill biography, said by the time 1920, around the time when Exorcism was written, O'Neill was a thorough alcoholic. In fact, he was a very bad alcoholic. He only sobered up basically to write plays and then lapsed back into alcoholism again. That, of course, didn't last his entire life, but it was a very bad period during his life. And Agnes Bolton was his wife and suffered the consequences of that. He was not very nice to her. He was enraged one night, and in a drunken rage, he destroyed her novel by tossing it into the fire, her manuscript, and he punched a hole in a portrait of her father that was done by the famous artist Thomas Eakins, and destroyed that. She got her revenge a little bit by when he thought he had destroyed all of the copies of Exorcism, she salvaged one. The reason he destroyed them was because it had one or two performances in 1920 at the Provincetown Playhouse on McDougal Street in New York, and he withdrew it after that because it was too autobiographical. It is about his suicide attempt in 1911 when he was living he was at the bottom of his life. This is before he even started writing plays. It was 1911. It was at 242 Fulton Street in New York City, the flop house, Jimmy the Priest's. It was there until 1966, when it was torn down for the World Trade Center to be built. It's an important, the setting is important because Jimmy the Priest, which was the actual building, figured very highly in some of his later works as in like The Iceman Cometh and particularly the Iceman comet. And what happened was that he thought that he had destroyed all of the copies. Agnes Bolton salvaged one and kept hold of it, and upon her death, it went to a friend of hers in California, and upon his death, it went to a screenwriter, I forget his name, and upon the screenwriter's death, it went to the Yale Library, and it was discovered in 2003. And of course, there's this continuing debate about should it be presented or shouldn't it be presented, and you can judge for yourself if you think it's worth you being presented or not. But what you are going to see in Exorcism, the second play tonight, is basically the setting is where O'Neill tried to commit suicide in 1911 at Jimmy the Priest's flop house down on the lower west side. But we're going to do, first of all, we're going to do Where the Cross is Made, and that was premiered in November 22nd, 1918 at the Provincetown Playhouse also. It was written in Provincetown in 1918, and he wrote it to see if he could write a supernatural play where he would confound the audience as well as the characters on stage. So we'll see if that works or not, and in keeping with the Halloween spirit. I will be reading the stage directions from here. Where the Cross is Made. The characters are Captain Isaiah Bartlett, Nat Bartlett, his son, Sue Bartlett, his daughter, and Dr. Higgins. The scene is Captain Bartlett's cabin, in quotes, a room erected as a lookout point on the top of his house, situated on a high point of land on the California coast. The inside of the compartment is fitted up like the captain's cabin of a deep-sea sailing vessel. On the left forward is a porthole, and farther back are the stairs of a companionway. The time is an early hour of a clear, windy night in the fall of the year 1900. Moonlight, winnowed by the wind, which moans at the stubborn angles of the old house, creeps wearily in through the portholes and rests like tired dust in circular patches upon the floor. Insistent monotone of thundering surf is heard in the background, muffled and far off, and is borne upward from the beach below. After the curtain rises, the door in the rear is opened slowly, and the head and shoulders of Nat Bartlett appear over the sill. He casts a quick glance about the room, and seeing no one there, ascends the remaining steps and enters. His right arm has been amputated at the shoulder. He makes a sign to someone in the darkness and says,
"All right, doctor."
And Dr. Higgins follows him into the room and looks curiously around him.
Can you see, doctor?
Well, yes, perfectly, but don't trouble, the moonlight is so bright.
Luckily, but he doesn't want any light lately. Only the one from the binnacle there.
He? Oh, you mean your father?
Who else?
I suppose this is all meant to be a ship's captain.
Yes, as I warned you.
Warned me? Why warn? I think it's very natural and interesting, this whim of his.
Well, interesting it may be.
And he lives here, you said? He never comes down?
Never. For the past 3 years. My sister brings his food up to him. Look, I'll ask your pardon for bringing you to this room on the roof, but look, no one will hear us here. And by seeing for yourself the mad way he lives, but understand that I want you to get all the facts, just the facts, and for that light is necessary. Without that, they become dreams up here. Dreams, doctor.
'Tis a trifle spooky.
He won't take any notice of this light. His eyes are too busy out there. And if he does notice, well, let him come down. You're bound to see him sooner or later.
Where is he?
Up on the poop. He'll not come yet a while.
Then he has the roof rigged up like a ship, too?
I told you he had. Like a deck, yes. A wheel, compass, binnacle light, the companionway there, the bridge, to pace up and down and keep watch. If the wind wasn't so high, you'd hear him now. Back and forth, all the livelong night. Did I tell you? He's mad.
That's nothing new. I've heard that about him from all sides since I first came to the asylum yonder. You say he only walks at night up there?
Only at night, yes. The things he wants to see can't be made out in daylight, dreams and such.
But just what is he trying to see? Does anyone know? Does he tell?
Why, everyone knows what my father looks for, man. The ship, of course.
What ship?
His ship, the Mary Allen, named for my dead mother.
But I don't understand. Is the ship long overdue or what?
Lost in a hurricane off the Celebes with all on board 3 years ago.
Ah. But your father still clings to it now. The ship is...
There is no doubt for him or anyone else to cling to. She was sighted bottom up, a complete wreck, by the whaler John Slocum. That was 2 weeks after the storm. They sent a boat out to read her name.
And hasn't your father ever heard?
He was the first one to hear, naturally. Oh, he knows right enough. It's that, if that's what you're driving at. He knows, Doctor. He knows, but he won't believe. He can't, and keep living.
Come, Mr. Bartlett. Now let's get down to brass tacks. You didn't drag me up here to make things more obscure, did you? Let's have the facts you spoke of. I'll need them to give sympathetic treatment to his case when we get him to the asylum.
And you'll take him away tonight, for sure?
Yeah, for 20 minutes after I leave here, I'll be back in the car. That's positive.
And you know your way through the house?
Certainly, I remember. But I don't see what...
The outside door will be open for you. You must come right up. My sister and I will be here, with him. And you understand, neither of us knows anything about this. The authorities have been complained to. But not by us, mind, but by some. He must never know.
Yes, but still, is he liable to prove violence?
No. He's always quiet. Too quiet. He might do something, anything, if he knows.
Rely on me not to tell him then. But I'll bring along 2 attendants in case. And now, for the facts, please, Mr. Bartlett, if you don't mind.
These are cases where facts are... Okay, well, here goes. Brass tacks. My father was a whaling captain as his father before him. The last trip he made was 7 years ago. He expected to be gone 2 years. It was 4 before we saw him again. His ship had been wrecked in the Indian Ocean. He and 6 others managed to reach a small island on the fringe of the archipelago. An island barren as hell, Doctor. And after 7 days in an open boat. The rest of the whaling crew never were heard from again. Gone to the sharks. Of the 6 who reached the island with my father, only 3 were alive when a fleet of Malay canoes picked them up, mad from thirst and starvation, the 4 of them. These 4 men finally reached Frisco. They were my father, Silas Horn the mate, Cates the bosun, and Jimmy Kanaka, a Hawaiian harpooner. Those 4. Those are the facts for you. It was in all the papers at the time, my father's story.
But what are the other 3 that were on the island?
Died of exposure, perhaps. Mad and jumped into the sea, perhaps. That was the told story. Another was whispered. Killed and eaten, perhaps. But gone. Vanished. That undeniably. That was the fact. For the rest, who knows? And what does it matter?
I should think it would matter a lot.
We're dealing with facts, Doctor. And here's some more for you. My father brought the 3 of them to this house with him, Horn and Cates and Jimmy Kanaka. We hardly recognized my father. He had been through hell and looked at it. His hair was white, but you'll see for yourself soon. And the others, they were all a bit queer too. Mad, if you will. So much for the facts, Doctor. They leave off here, and the dreams begin.
It would seem the facts are enough.
Oh, wait. One day my father sent for me, and in the presence of the others told me the dream. I was to be heir to the secret. Their second day on the island, he said, they discovered in a sheltered inlet the rotten, waterlogged hulk of the Malay Prue. A proper war Prue, as the pirates used to use. She'd been rotting there for God knows how long. The crew had vanished, God knows where. There was no sign on the island that man had ever touched there. So the Kanakas went over to the Prue. They were devils for staying underwater, you know. And they found, in 2 chests, guess what, Doctor?
Treasure, of course.
Oh, you see. The root of belief is in you, too. Why, yes, treasure to be sure. What else? They landed it, and, well, you can guess the rest, too. Diamonds, emeralds, gold, ornaments, innumerable, of course. Why limit the stuff of dreams?
Well, and then what happened?
Well, they began to go mad. Hunger, thirst, and the rest they began to forget. And they forget a lot. And lucky for them, they did, probably. But my father, realizing, as he told me what was happening to them, insisted that while they still knew what they were doing, they should... Okay, guess again now, Doctor.
Bury the treasure.
Simple, isn't it? And then they made a map. Same old dream, you see, with a charred stick, and my father had care of it. They were picked up soon after, mad as hatters, I've told you, by some Malays. But the map isn't a dream, Doctor. We're coming back to facts again. Here.
Damn it. This is interesting. The treasure, I suppose, is where...
The cross is made.
Ah. Oh, and here are the signatures I see, and that sign.
Jimmy Kanakas, he couldn't write.
And below? That's yours, isn't it?
Yeah, as an heir to the secret, yes. We all signed it here the morning the Mary Allen, the schooner my father had mortgaged this house to fit out, set sail to bring back the treasure.
And the ship he's still looking for was lost 3 years ago.
The Mary Allen, yeah. The other 3 men sailed away on her. Only father and the other mates knew the approximate location of the island. Oh, and I, as heir. It's, oh, no matter. Look, I'll keep the mad secret. My father wanted to go with them, but my mother was dying. I dared not go either.
You wanted to go. You believed in the treasure then?
Of course! How could I help it? I believed it until my mother's death. Then he became mad, entirely mad. He built this cabin to wait in, and he suspected my growing doubt as time went on. So, as final proof, he gave me something he had kept hidden from them all. A sample of the richest of the treasure. Behold.
Real jewels?
You want to believe too, Doctor. No, just paste and brass.
But you
Malay ornaments.
You had it looked over.
Yeah, like a fool, yes. Now you know why he's mad. Waiting for that ship. Why, in the end, I had to take him away to where he'll be safe. The mortgage, the price of the ship, it's to be foreclosed. We have to move, my sister and I. We can't take him with us. She's to be married soon. And perhaps away from the sight of the sea, he may...
Well, let's hope for the best. And I fully appreciate your position. And thank you for this very interesting story. I'll know better how to humor him when he raves about treasure.
He's quiet, always. Too quiet. You know, he only walks to and fro, watching.
Well, I must go. You think it's best to take him tonight?
Oh, yes, Doctor. The neighbors, they're far away, but for my sister's sake, you understand.
Well, I see. Oh, it must be hard on her, this sort of thing. Well, I'll return presently.
Don't fail us, Doctor. And come right up, okay? He'll be here.
The door in the rear is slowly opened, it creaks slightly, and Nat jumps in a thick voice of terror.
Who's there?
The door reveals his sister, Sue Bartlett.
It's only I. What are you afraid of?
Oh, nothing. I didn't know you. I thought you were in your room.
I was reading, and then I heard someone come down the stairs and go out. Who was it? It wasn't Father.
No. He's up there, watching, as he always is.
Then who was it?
A man, I know.
What man? What is he? Now you're holding something back and tell me.
A doctor.
You brought him up here so that I wouldn't know?
No, I took him up here to see how things were, to ask him about Father.
Is he one of them? From the asylum? Nat, you haven't.
No, just be still.
You know, that would be the last horror.
Why? You always say that. What could be more horrible than things as they are? Huh? I believe it would be better for him away, where he couldn't see the sea. He'll forget this mad idea of waiting for a lost ship and a treasure that never was. Look, I believe this.
You don't, Nat. You know, he'd die if he hadn't the sea to live with.
And you know old Smith will foreclose this mortgage. Is that nothing? We cannot pay. He came yesterday and talked with me. He knows the place is his to all purposes. He talked as if we were merely his tenants. Curse him. And he swore he'd foreclose immediately unless
What?
we have Father taken away.
But why? Why? What is Father to him?
The value of the property. Our home, which is his, Smith's. The neighbors are afraid. They pass by the road at nights coming back to their farms from the town. They see him walking back and forth, waving his arms against the sky. They're afraid. They talk of a complaint. They say for his own good he must be taken away. They even whisper this house is haunted. Old Smith's afraid of his property. He thinks that he may set fire to the house or do anything.
But you know how foolish that is, don't you? That Father is quiet.
But what's the
He's
use?
always quiet.
What's the use of telling what they believe when they're afraid? I've been afraid myself at
Oh,
times.
Nat. Afraid of what?
Of him and the sea he calls to. The damn sea he forced me on as a boy. The sea that robbed me of my arm and made me the broken man I am.
You can't blame Father for your misfortune.
He took me from school and forced me on his ship, didn't he? What I would have been besides an ignorant sailor like him if he had his way? No, it's the sea I should not blame. That foiled him by taking my arm and throwing me ashore in another one of his wrecks.
You're bitter, Nat. And you're hard. It was so long ago. Why can't you forget?
Forget? Yeah, you can talk. Yeah, when Tom comes home from this voyage, you'll be married and out of this with life before you. A captain's wife, as our mother was. Yeah, I wish you joy.
And you can come with us, Nat. And Father, too.
Would you saddle your young husband with a madman and a cripple? No, not I. And not him either. I've got to stay here. My book is 3/4 done. My book will set me free. But I feel as sure as I stand here living before you, that I must finish it here. It could not live for me outside of this house where it was born. So I will stay, in spite of hell. Old Smith told me I could live here indefinitely without paying, as caretaker, if I have him sent where he'll no longer harm himself or others.
No, Nat. For our dead mother's sake.
Did I say I had? And why do you look at me like that?
Nat. For mother's sake.
Stop! She's dead and at peace. Would you bring her tired soul back again to be bruised and wounded?
Nat.
Oh, Sue. Just have mercy. Smith said he'd give me $2,000 cash if you'd sell the place to him and he'd let me stay rent-free as caretaker.
No. 2,000? Why over and above the mortgage is what it's worth?
It's not what it's worth. It's what one can get, cash. Oh, for my book, my freedom.
So that's why he wants Father sent away? Oh, the wretch. He must know He must know of Father's will.
Yeah, that gives the place to me. Yes. He knows, I told him.
How vile you men are.
If it were to be done, I say, there'd be half for you for your wedding portion. That's fair.
It's blood money. Do you think I could touch it?
It would be only fair. I'd give it to you.
My God, Nat. Are you trying to bribe me?
No. It's yours in all fairness. You forget, I'm an heir to a treasure too, and so I can afford to be generous.
Nat. You're so strange, you're sick, Nat. You couldn't talk this way if you were yourself. Oh, we must go away from here. You, Father, and I. Let Smith foreclose. There'll be something over the mortgage, and we'll move. We'll move someplace to a little house by the sea, so Father can...
Can what keep up his mad game with us? Whispering dreams in my ear, pointing out to sea, mocking me with stuff like this? Yeah, like this. No, it's too late for dreams now. It's too late. I put them behind me tonight forever.
Then you've done it. You've done it. You sold him. Nat! You cursed!
Shh! What are you saying? He'll be better off, away from the sea.
You sold him!
No! No! Listen, Sue. Oh, for God's sakes, listen to me. You see? The map of the island. Where the cross is made. I've carried it around for years. Is that nothing? What it means? This stands between me and my book. It stood between me and life, driving me mad. He taught me to wait and hope with him. Wait and hope, day after day. He made me doubt my brain and give lies to my eyes when hope was dead. When I knew it was all a dream, I still couldn't kill it. Oh, God, forgive me. And I believe. That's mad. Mad, do you hear?
That is why? You hate him?
No, I don't. Yes, I do hate him. He's stolen my brain. I've got to free myself. Can't you see? Free him from his madness.
No, don't! You were talking as if...
Well, that's as if I was mad. You're right. But I'll be mad no more. See?
He sets fire to the map in his hand. They watch the paper burn with fascinated eyes as he talks.
See how I free myself and become sane? And now for facts, as the doctor said. I lied to you about him. He was a doctor from the asylum. Oh, you see how it burns? It must all be destroyed, this poisonous madness. Yes, I lied to you. Look, see, it's gone. The last speck. And the only other map is the one Silas Horn took to the bottom of the sea with him. Gone. I'm free of it. Yes, I sold him, if you will, to save my soul. They're coming for him from the asylum to get him.
Sail ho!
Oh, God. Oh, God, did he hear?
Captain Bartlett comes into the room.
Been thinking me mad? Did you think it for the past 3 years? You've been ever since them fools of Slocum tattled their damn lie on the Mary Ellen being wrecked.
No, Father.
Don't lie, you whelp. You that I made my heir, aiming to get me out of the way, aim to get me put behind bars, the jail for mad folk.
Father,
No! Not you, girl. Not you. Your mother.
Father, do you think
A
I can-
lie in your eyes, I've been a-reading them. My curse is on you.
Father, don't.
Leave me be, girl. He believed he didn't, and he aimed. He turned traitor. mocking at me, saying it's all lies, mocking at himself for being a fool, to believe in dreams as he calls them.
You're wrong, Father, I do believe!
Now you do. Who wouldn't credit their own eyes?
Eyes?
Have you not seen her? Them? Did you not hear me hail?
Hail? I heard a shout, but what hail? Seen what?
Aye. Now's your punishment, Judas. The Mary Ellen you behold full. Come back from the southern seas. Come back as much as I swore she must.
Father, be quiet.
No,
It's nothing.
Turn the pine a half hour back the Mary Ellen, loaded with gold as I swore would be, carrying her lowers, not a reef in 'em, making port, boy, as I swore she must. Too late for traitors, boy, too late, dropping her anchor just when I hailed her.
Mary Ellen? But how do you know?
Not know my own ship, 'tis you mad.
And at night, it was some other schooner.
No, I say, the Mary Ellen, clear in the moonlight, and heed this. Do you call to mind the signal I've given to Silas home if he made the port of the night?
A red and green light at the main masthead.
Ah, then look out if you dare. You can see the plain from here. Will you believe your eyes? Look, and then call me mad.
Red and green at the main masthead. Yes, clear as day.
Let me see.
She goes to the porthole.
Aye, you see now clear enough, though. Too late for you. And from above I see Horn and Katz and Jimmy Kanaka playing on the deck in the moonlight, looking up at me.
He strides to the companionway, followed by Nat. The two of them ascend. Sue turns from the porthole, an expression of frightened bewilderment on her face.
Mary Ellen, ahoy, ahoy!
Mary Ellen, ahoy!
Sue covers her face with her hands, shuddering. Nat comes down the companionway, his eyes wild and exciting.
He's bad tonight, Nat. You're right to humor him. It's the best thing.
Humor him? What the hell do you mean?
There's nothing out there, Nat. There's not a ship in the harbor.
You're a fool or blind. The Mary Ellen is there in plain sight of anyone, with the red and green signal lights. Those fools lied about her being wrecked, and I've been a fool too.
Nat, there's nothing. There's nothing there. There's not a ship.
I saw. I tell you, from above it's all plain.
Nat, you mustn't let this. Look at you. You're all excited and trembling. Now, Nat.
Oh, you blind fool.
Bartlett comes down the steps of the companionway. His face is transfigured with the ecstasy of a dream come true.
They've lowered the boat, the three. Horn, Katz, and Jimmy Kanaka. They're roaring ashore. I heard the oars in the locks. Listen.
I hear.
It's the wind you hear. Nat, please.
Hark, they've landed. They're back on Earth again as I swore they're back. They'll be coming up the path.
The sound of the wind and sea suddenly ceases, and there is a heavy silence. A dense green glow floods slowly in rhythmic waves like a liquid into the room, as of great depths of the sea faintly penetrated by light.
I see how the light changes. Oh, green and gold, deep under the sea. Oh, I've been drowned for years. Save me! Save me!
It's only the moonlight, Nat. It hasn't changed. Now, just be quiet. It's nothing. Nat.
The green light grows deeper and deeper.
They move slower, slowly. They're heavy. I know heavy. The two chests. Hark. They're below at the door. You hear?
I hear. I left the doors open.
For them?
For them.
The sound of a door being heavily slammed is heard from way down in the house.
There. You hear?
It's a shudder in the wind.
There's no wind.
Up they come, up the bullies. They're heavy, heavy.
The padding of bare feet sounds from the floor below, then comes up the stairs.
Oh, you hear them now?
It's Nat. That's only the rats running about. It's nothing. Nat.
Come in, lads, come in. Welcome home.
Kate enters. Water drips from his soaked and rotten clothes. His hair is matted, intertwined with slimy strands of seaweed. His eyes, as they glide silently into the room, stare frightfully wide at nothing. His flesh, in the green light, has a suggestion of decomposition. His body sways limply, nervously, rhythmically, as if to the pulse of long swells of the deep sea.
You see? Welcome home.
Sit down, Nat. Now it's nothing. There is no one there. Father? Father? Sit down!
Not here, boy. Not here, boy. Not before him. He has the right now. Come. The treasure is ours only. We'll go away with it together. Come. That's right for him. That's right for him.
They ascend the companionway. The figure of Kate leaves and follows.
Oh, wait!
Nat.
Don't!
Nat, don't!
Father!
Nat! Father! Come back!
Just a moment, miss. What's the matter?
Help! Help!
What? I can't see. Where?
My father! He's up there!
Here, Bartlett, let me try. Oh,
He looks around the room. The green glow disappears. The wind and sea are heard again. Clear moonlight floods through the portholes.
here, Bartlett, let me try. What's the matter, Bartlett? It's all open.
They've locked it. I can't get up.
Where? It's open. Look out, man.
Look out! Look out for them!
Well, them who? Well, there's no one there. Well, come on, lend a hand. Oh my God, he's fainted. Oh my God.
There's a scuffling noise from above. They reappear carrying Captain Bartlett's body.
Easy now. Easy. Slowly. Yes. I'm sorry.
Dead?
Heart failure, I should judge. Perhaps it's better so.
There was something Horn handed him. Did you see?
Nat. Be still. Nat, he's
There's-
dead.
There's nothing I can do.
Please, just go. Just go.
Oh, man.
Didn't you see? Horn handed him something.
Nat, come away. Don't touch him, Nat. Nat, come away.
But her brother does not heed her. His gaze is fixed on his father's right hand, which hangs downward over the side of the couch. He pounces on it and, forcing the clenched fingers open with a great effort, secures a crumpled ball of paper.
See? The map of the island. Oh, look! It isn't lost to me after all. Oh, there's still a chance. My chance. When the house is sold, I'll go. And I'll find it. Look, here. Well, it's written here. It's written here in his handwriting. The treasure is buried where the cross is made.
Oh, God. Come away, Nat. Nat! Nat! Come away!
The curtain falls, the end. I'd like to meet our actors. Come in, please, and take a bow. There we go. I'd like to just go down the line and introduce everybody. Right to my immediate left is Keith Bradley. Keith is from Chatham, and Keith has been in many of these O'Neill productions. Keith is a real estate agent in Chatham, and he used to be a member of the chorus of the Metropolitan Opera when he lived in New York. Next to Keith is Scott Cunningham. Scott is currently in the production of Dracula for Dummies at the Provincetown Theater. You play
Mina.
Mina Harker, the victim. And Scott is also, as you go out the door here and go down the hill, at the foot of the hill is Scott Cakes. And Scott makes the best cupcakes in town. So tomorrow, please come. Our young gentleman here is Bryce Egley. Bryce, tell us what you've done on stage.
I haven't really been practicing, but someone told me about it, what I was supposed to do, and I kind of got it.
Okay. Have you ever been on stage before?
Yeah, I've been at school plays.
What have you done in school plays?
I've done 3 plays, I think. One of them was Peter Pan and Dr. Seuss, and also Once Upon a Mattress.
Oh, real good for you. And standing behind Bryce is Michael Walsack. Michael is a former professor of theater, or teacher of theater, and Michael's also an artist. You have an exhibition coming up, don't you, Michael?
I have a studio in Whalers Wharf on the 2nd floor where there's a current show up.
Yes.
So, yes.
And aren't you doing something at Wellfleet as well?
I am. I'm teaching a collage workshop for 3 days.
In the Wellfleet Library.
In the Wellfleet Library, in November.
Do you have any acting gigs coming up, or
No, I'm looking, so if you know of anything, pass my way.
And next to Michael is Heather Hayes. Heather is an actress, and she is currently filming a play about, a film about Eugene O'Neill. Do you want to talk about that a little bit, Heather?
It's, no.
All right. Heather has been in many productions with the Provincetown Theater and with here, and let's give them all a big hand. The characters are Ned Malloy, Jimmy, his roommate, Major Andrews, Edward Malloy, Ned's father, and Nordstrom. The scene is a small bedroom on the top story of a squalid rooming house occupying the 3 upper floors of a building on a side street near the downtown waterfront in New York City. The ground floor is the lowest type of grog shop. The room is filthy. The wall and low ceiling, whitewashed in some remote past, are spotted with the greasy imprints of groping hands and fingers. The plaster has scaled off in places, showing the lathes beneath. The floor is carpeted with an accumulation of old newspapers, cigarette butts, ashes, burnt matches, etc. It is just after dark of a miserably foggy day in the middle of March some years ago. The windows, stained by the sediment of old ruins, glimmer grayly with a fresh layer of moisture. At the rise of the curtain, Jimmy is discovered lying on a cot. He is fully dressed. He has the blanket drawn up well over his shoulders. After a moment, he throws this off with a grunt of annoyance at having to disturb himself and puts his newspaper aside and swings his feet to the floor. As he does this, steps are heard from the hallway stairs, and Jimmy turns his face expectantly. The door opens and Ned Malloy enters.
Hello, Ned.
Hello, Jimmy.
It's a rotten night out, isn't it? I thought for a while of going over to Brooklyn, to see that party about what I was telling you about. I'd catch him at night, and I think, I'm sure I could make a touch on him for a 10 spot, or maybe even a 20. We used to be pals in the old days, years ago when I was on Easy Street and he wasn't. I helped him out many a time, and he never mentioned anything of it.
Well, then it's hopeless, you fool. Don't you see? Damn it.
Hey?
If you really helped him that other time, I mean. You won't get a nickel from him. Why, you poor nut. He'll only take delight in seeing you down and out and helping to keep you there. The best you can hope for will be a sniveling moral lecture on the evils of drink and his advice to mend your ways, which he'll hope you won't take.
Well, I don't know. People aren't as bad as you like to make out.
Aren't they? Well, I haven't met them all.
Anyway, I'm glad I didn't go. I waited around at the bar downstairs to see if it wouldn't clear. Tom Henderson was in, and he blew me a couple of whiskeys.
I was wondering where your optimism came from.
But the beastly drizzle kept right on. It hadn't let up until you came in, had it?
No. Muck underfoot, muck overhead. And in between. God's given us the naked truth today.
You shouldn't say that. You got the blues devils today, haven't you?
I haven't had 2 whiskeys.
Henderson slipped me $1 when he was going. We could go downstairs and...
No. Thanks just the same.
You must be feeling queer. Later then?
Later? Supposing there wasn't any.
You mean I'll spend it all before? No, Ned, I promise.
Don't be a fool. I wasn't talking of that. I was speaking of, later.
You have got the blues all right. I don't blame you. It's a devilish weather. It's enough to... Well, cheer up. It's the middle of March now, and spring will soon be here.
That'll be a blessing.
Yes, won't it? Do you know, Ned, spring is my favorite season of the year.
How long have you been living here?
6 years, more or less. Why?
I should think all the seasons would be alike in this rotten dump.
Oh, come now, Ned. This place ain't so bad. Where else could we get a room on such long credit as old John allows us?
Yes, I suppose I'll be grateful that, thanks to knowing you, I had his place to land in when the old man kicked me from the family fireside. Well, I was grateful then, but that was 6 months ago. Anyway, I'm leaving it now.
You're leaving? For good?
You're damn right, for good.
Are you going home? Has your father...
Oh, welcomed me back to his bosom? No.
Then where are you going?
Well, if I knew that, I'd be a wise guy indeed. But I'm talking rot. What was it you were going on about? Oh, yes, the beautiful spring.
Well, it is beautiful. Of course, you don't get much a chance to see it here in the city. But I still walk down to Battery Park every morning as soon as it gets warm enough.
Wasn't very beautiful down there today. A miserable, soaking strip of mud. The tree's dead and the bay is filthy as an overgrown sewer.
You were down there today?
Well, for 6 hours, till it got dark.
Well, what were you doing?
Sitting on a bench with the rest of the flotsam.
In the rain? Why, you must be soaked. You could catch cold there.
Well, what's the difference? Oh, shut up, you old woman. You're worse than a wet nurse. Pass me the tobacco, will you? I'll roll a cigarette.
You chose a funny time to loaf on the Battery, I must say.
No other place. I wanted to be alone and think.
Well, you couldn't get a favorable impression of it down there today. It's different later. In the middle of spring.
Oh, to hell with your spring. What significance can spring have to you, or to me, or any of the others in this hole?
Spring means something to me that you can't get very well understand, Ned. There have been springs in my life in better days when
Stop! Stop it right there, Jimmy! I'll be damned if I'll stand for listening to that story again. No. I know you too well. I can see it coming. That story you've told me 1,000 times. You always start in that way. But you're not drunk now. You've no excuse for telling it. And I'm not drunk, so I won't endure listening to it. Damn. You're worse than Major Andrews downstairs, who insists on showing me the scar on his leg when he's on his pension drunk every month. I suppose you think yours is a wound too, you sentimental rabbit. Of all the abject illusions, listen to me. I'll tell you the truth for once in your life. By your own story, 1,000 times retold, you prove that wife who ran away from you 7 years ago was a worthless non-entity. And guilty in the bargain.
Ned!
And yet you hug her memory to your breast like a dried rose. Why, you ought to be thanking God you got rid of her. You weren't happy then. You know it. But you are now. Yes, you are. In spite of everything. You're secure. Home at last. Because this place is bedrock. After this, there's nothing but the morgue. Only you feel it's morally wrong for you to live happy on this dunghill. You want an excuse. Bah! The Major is the same. He's here, he laments, because his daughter abandoned him in his old age. That same religious crank of a daughter who, by his own story, wouldn't let him drink and made him go to church twice every Sunday. And now he's happy as a king in this sink where no one gives a damn what he does. Hell! What's the use of talking?
You're not so good yourself when it comes to that.
I'm no good and I know it. I make no excuses. I'm here because I belong here. But I'm not happy about it. Besides, what is the meaning of that word, good? To be what you are and face it, that's good. Come, confess it. Our only bad is lack of money to stay drunk on, isn't it? Oh, here I am arguing like an imbecile. Blessed last moments.
You're very insulting. For friendship's sake, I prefer to forget your words. They were not those of a gentleman or a friend. I never thought that you...
Forgive me, Jimmy. I'm all unstrung. I apologize. It was all nonsense what I said. Forget it. I didn't mean to hurt you. Honestly, Jimmy.
It's all right, Ned. Only your damn tongue.
Oh, forget it.
Oh, it's all forgiven. You haven't been acting like your old self, Ned.
How could I? He's dead. Most of him. And the rest, he just...
You don't look well. Are you sick?
No. I didn't sleep much last night.
You didn't come back here. You don't mean to say that you were walking the streets all night?
No. Oh, I found a warm bed. Quicklime.
Eh? Did you go see your father?
No.
He refused to talk to you.
No, I didn't try. It stuck in my craw at the last moment. I've held out ever since our row, and I've made up my mind not to give him the satisfaction.
But now that you've chucked the job, you've got to do something.
Oh, I'm going to. Do something.
Nordstrom. The big Swede. You know that comes in from the market? Well, I was talking to him last night, and he says he's going out west. Minnesota. Just as soon as it gets warmer. He won't have any money. He's going to beat it his way and foot it. Some relative has a farm out there. The Swede is sick of the city, he says. He wants to get where there's fresh air.
He won't find it. There's no fresh air in this world.
Why don't you go with him? He'd take you along. He likes you. He told me so. And it would be a wonderful trip in the spring.
Oh, damn your spring! But I am thinking of taking myself a long trip.
It would be just the thing for you.
Just.
Not that I'm anxious to have you go, you know, but...
No. You'll be sorry, won't you? Yeah, you're one of the few. Do you know where I went yesterday?
No.
To the lawyer's.
Ah, you mean your wife's lawyer?
Yes. I told you, didn't I? He'd written me a couple of times to come and see him and arrange matters. I got half shot yesterday morning in preparation for a stormy interview with the old man. But after I got that way, I felt too independent to compromise with him. I wanted adventure. So I called the lawyer.
Oh, what did he say?
Tried first to be kind and fatherly. Good advice. Said my fair Frau was willing to forgive and forget if I would promise to behave and settle down. It didn't take. I told him she might be willing, but I was not. I wouldn't forgive or forget the fact that I despise her.
Ned!
Now, Jimmy, for Christ's sake, if you want to hear this, and I do want to tell you, so that things will be understood by someone afterwards, it's choking me, then you've got to can your sentimental drivel. Save it for your own sorrow. I won't put up with it, you hear?
Yes. I've always hoped you'd go back to her finally.
Oh, Jimmy, you're an ass.
But didn't you... Don't you care for her
Oh,
at all?
my God, no, not a damn. Not a single solitary infinitesimal tinker's damn. I never did. Body. That was what I wanted in her, and she in me. And I married her for an obsolete reason, a gentleman reason you'd call it. And because a perverse devil whispered in my ear that marriage was one of those few things I hadn't done. That's all it was, so help me. A silly gesture of honor and a stunt.
I can't believe it, Ned.
It's a fact, nevertheless. So don't be sentimental. Leave that to her.
Then she is actually going to get a divorce.
Of course. She's rich. She'll be married again within a year. Her pinhead won't even retain a memory of what happened 2 years ago. Damn your questions. They set me off the track. All that is immaterial. Too futile to discuss. It's not what I want to tell. Not what has moved me to desire a long trip. When we got down to cases, the lawyer quit his fooling and gave his advice to the evidence. You know the law in New York. There's only one ground that goes.
Yes. Adultery.
So we arranged a time and a place.
But that's collusion, isn't it?
Well, only if it's found out. It was arranged that I should go with witnesses to a certain house of ill fame, as the newspapers would call them. The lawyer even offered to foot the bill in case I was broke. But I still had enough money left, and I waved his offer magnificently aside. My last flare of honor. Jimmy, that was where I spent the night. The warm bed I spoke of, Jimmy.
And the quicklime?
Searing to the brain. Now it comes, Jimmy. What I wanted to tell you. I don't remember much about getting there or choosing the correspondent. But we arrived in the small hours. I was very drunk. I must have fallen asleep almost immediately. And when I awoke, the room was strange to me. It wasn't dawn, it was midday, but it appeared like dawn, with faint streaks of light shedding from the edges of the green shades, and the whole room is a sort of dead half-darkness, with a close smell of powder and perfume and Lysol. Gradually, I remembered lying there without moving the night before. I suddenly felt stone cold sober, and I grew conscious of soft breathing, of the warmth of that other body. I was afraid to look. Why? The whole thing was no new experience, but I was afraid. Then I forced myself to turn. She was pretty, but she looked, well, there were all the weak sins of the world in her face. She looked like a painted clown with the black on her eyes and the greasy rouge on her lips. Like a clown, you understand? A pitiable clown. And yet loathsome and, unutterably. And then, if she was that, what was I? And all of a sudden she turned over on her back and began to snore, more gross than a pig. It seemed to me that suddenly everything I had ever done in my life, all life, had become too rotten. My head had been pushed under, I was drowning, when the thick slime of loathing poured down my throat, strangling me. I jumped up and got away without waking her. That's all.
I think I understand. I've had the same experience.
Oh, no. Not the same. You're here, aren't you? You wouldn't be if, I tell you, it was frightful. The end of everything, the last straw. Don't you see what I mean, you fool? How can I go on? No, it's over. I'm done. I'm through. When all beauty is gone out of the world.
Well, you'll get over it. You mustn't take it so seriously, Ned. I've still got that $1. Come on, let's go have a drink and forget it.
No. You don't understand. Go on, get out of here. I want to be alone.
But don't you want something to eat? You better.
No. Leave me alone, will you?
After stopping uncertainly for a moment, staring uneasily at Ned, Jimmy goes out. As soon as he is gone, Ned comes over to a lamp. He takes several pill boxes from his pocket and he empties their contents on a chair, a small heap of white tablets. He puts the tablets in the palm of his hand and, shaking off a momentary hesitation, with a frowning jerk of his head, he swallows the pills. He mutters with a grim smile,
Well, that's done.
He turns down the lamp and lies down on his cot, closing his eyes with a deep sigh, pulling the blanket up over his shoulders. The curtain is lowered to denote the passage of 24 hours. When it rises again, the scene is unchanged. By the dim light of the lamp, its wick turned low, the face of Ned Malloy can be seen. He is still lying on the cot, fast asleep, the blanket pulled up over his shoulders. His face has a singularly peaceful and calm expression. The strained look of tension is gone. Steps are heard from the hall outside, and men's voices raised in dispute. There is a warning shh from one of them as the doors open slowly, and Jimmy and Major Andrews come into the room. They are both quite drunk. They move carefully to the cot's side and stand with bowed heads side by side, as if paying the last honors to a corpse.
Alive. Thank God.
Poor young chap. To think he owes his life to you. Yes, Jimmy boy, to you.
And to you too, Major. You too. You helped me walk him around. God bless you, old friend.
We'll say no more. I love the poor young chap. Ah, the fair sex. Wives and sweethearts and daughters. What devilish tricks they play on us, Jimmy boy. Shall we wake him up now? When his father is coming to see him?
At 8. It's nearly that now. Don't tell him his father's coming, Major. Let's leave it a surprise. Oh, poor Ned. How happy he'll be.
Wake up, my dear young chap. Wake up! Wake up! That's a good lad.
Ned! Wake up!
What the hell?
Oh, you're alive, all right.
Shut up. Oh, I want to think. Missed fire, by God.
A damn narrow squeak of it, my dear young chap. You owe your life to your friend Jimmy here.
No, you too, Major. You
Oh,
too.
you fools. I might have known it. What happened? Tell me, you idiot.
Well, I got when I went downstairs when you drove me out. I was worried about you. I worried to death. We're chums, aren't we?
Yes,
Chums.
of course. Did what?
Well, you've been dropping hints. Dark hints. You weren't yourself, you know, and I had my suspicions, and I was worried about you, worried to death about you.
So he came back upstairs, and there you were, old chap.
Stiff and stark, like a corpse.
So he ran for a doctor.
And called the Major.
And the doctor came, and you were frightfully ill, poor chap. You'd taken too much of an overdose, you know. And he worked on you.
With a stomach
And
pump.
we walked you about, pummeling you. You'll be sore today, I fancy.
You were like a log.
We had to keep you moving.
Then the doctor came in and said it would be all right if we let you sleep off the rest of it.
You've been dead for 24 hours, poor chap. And there you are.
Yes. Here I am.
Yeah.
And now, what? Of course, you phoned to my father and told him all about it, didn't you?
I did better.
Oh, damn.
But Ned, I had to. The doctor and everything, with no money after. Well, after I knew you were all right, I went to see him. I had a difficult time breaking the news. Your poor father, he loves you, Ned.
Oh, shut up. How much did he give you?
He wanted you to be taken to the best hospital, so I told the doctor, but he said it wasn't necessary.
How much did he give you?
$50.
Oh! He must have been stricken to the heart. So that's how you raised the wind. I was wondering where the price of your jags came from.
Oh, tut tut. Nothing of the sort.
There's a sound of steps coming from the stairs outside.
It must be him coming, Major.
I think we'll leave you now, old chap. For a moment, anyway.
What's this? What are you up to now? Damn you!
He recognizes his father's voice talking to them outside the door furiously.
The old man. Hell!
His father enters the room. His manner is somewhat stern and dictatorial. He expects his word to be accepted as the last as a matter of course. Just now, he is as emotionally moved as it is possible for him to be. In appearance, he bears but little resemblance to his son.
Ned. How are you, boy?
Oh, all right, I guess.
Well, let bygones be bygones, my boy. Though how you could be thinking of taking a step which amounts to a crime without consideration for your family, if your poor mother were alive.
If you came to talk about that,
No,
it's no use.
no, I did not. The past is the past. We'll bury that. But you must see the necessity of leaving this filthy dive as soon as possible. I've come in a car to bring you home.
I feel very weak. I think I'd better stay in bed tonight.
Of course. If you don't feel up to it, I'll send the car for you in the morning then.
All right.
Margaret is at home with me. I thought it my duty to phone and let her know what happened. She was out of her mind with grief, Ned. If she had ever dreamed that the divorce proceedings would have hit you so hard.
Ha! So that's what she thinks. The devil.
She thought you didn't care. She did everything in her power to bring you to your senses before taking this decisive step. Offer to forgive and forget. And she has forgiven you, Ned, because she loves you like a true woman. She has withdrawn the divorce proceedings, I need to add.
And she's sitting at our house, right now, waiting for me?
Yes, to welcome you home. She even desired to come to you at once, but I dissuaded her. I knew you wouldn't want to see her here.
Well, I suppose she and I have got to have it out face to face finally.
No, not at once. Let matters have time to adjust themselves between you. You need a good rest, my boy, to regain equilibrium.
Yes, rest is what I want.
We suggest, Margaret and I, your sisters too, think it advisable that you must go to some rest cure institution for a time and build up your body and your mind.
Wait a moment. Well, I'm agreeable. For a month, say. It'll be spring then. As long as it's a place where I can be alone and think.
I'm glad to find you in such a sensible frame of mind. I was afraid your actions, pointed derangement. I've heard of a place in the country, quite select, strictly secretly. Only a few patients allowed.
That's fine.
Well, then it's settled then, good boy. And afterwards, we'll see. Your position in my office is always open to you, of course.
Let's talk about that afterwards.
Very well. I won't disturb you any longer. You need rest and sleep. Till tomorrow, Ned.
Thanks. Goodbye for the present. God, this is a funny world. And I wanted to die.
The door opens and the major enters, drunker than ever.
Jimmy's foraging below to purchase a corn. We will drink to your long life, my boy, now that you are happily reunited with your family. My dear chap, I am so glad. I am so glad. Your father appears an estimable gentleman. Yeah. It's a thankless task to bring children into the world. What it is that the great bard said? How sharper than a serpent's tooth to have a thankless child. My dear lad, I speak from a sad experience. My daughter, whom I nourished and cherished, brought my gray hairs to what you see now. Now, have I ever told you?
Yes, you have. How she wouldn't let you get drunk and made you go to church twice every Sunday until you had to run away from her.
Nothing of the sort. It was she who heartlessly abandoned me. With stern reproof, I have not yet expressed my disapproval at your attempt at self-destruction. It was funk, sir. Pure funk. I know from experience. I have seen my own men give way to it before battle. Why, the very day in the Zulu War it was. Well, no, it was in the Sudan when I got this wound on my leg, and with a spear, a very devilish of a gash. What? Oh, an awful weapon, I'll bear the marks of it till the day I die. Did I ever show you? Did I?
Since the last time, Major, no, you never have.
Oh, you take the high road and I'll take the low road.
He'll drop the bottle.
Jimmy enters with the bottle successfully clutched in one hand. He is followed by Nordstrom, a Swede.
Hello, Naughty. I was just thinking about you. Will you let me go along with you when you start for the West?
Sure, I'd like hell to get you along, Ned.
So go then. Hey, you start toward the end of April, don't you?
Yes.
I'll be ready by then. I need a month's rest to get in physical shape for it. Get busy there, Jimmy. Give us a drink.
Long life to you, my dear young chap.
And may you turn over new leaf.
Stop. New leaf be damned. It's a new book without a leaf of the old left in it. The past is finally cremated. I feel reborn, I tell you. I've had a bath. I've been to confession. My sins are forgiven me. God judges by our intentions, they say. And my intentions last night were of the best. He evidently wants to retain my services here below for what I don't know yet. But I'm going to find out. And I feel of use already. So here's looking forward to the new life. Reform or no reform, as long as it's new. To spring and fresh air and Minnesota. Skol, Naughty.
Skål!
Go! Spring! Did you say that if you had been through all I have in better years and spring,
I started.
By him, he tell that story 20 times to me tonight.
Drown him out, Naughty. Come on in here. Come on in here. Alexander's ragtime band.
Oh, you beautiful doll, you great big beautiful doll.
Enough, my dear young chaps, enough of that.
Curtain, the end.
Boom.
I'd like to introduce the two actors on the far right who were not in the previous play. Tony Johnson, who played Ned, has been acting with a number of these O'Neill one-acts, and tell them about, and if you want a great massage, go to Tony at
I was going to say the West. Where do I work? I work at the Jonathan Williams Salon, which is nestled in between the health food store and the Tedeschi's. And I've been massage 17 years, baby. I'll rub you the right way. Anyway.
And the gentleman at the end is Joe McDougall. Joe is an actor, and Joe, how do I describe it? Joe recently, did anyone go to the Tennessee Williams Festival at all? Yeah, you did, yes. Joe, and I'll say myself too, was in Small Craft Warnings. And did I say McDougall? McDonald, Joe McDonald.
It's McDougall.
It's McDougall, that's right, yes, I'm sorry. Joe McDougall, I'm sorry. And Joe played Bill, and it was the first time in the 11-year history of the O'Neill Festival that it was reviewed by the New York Times. And Charles Isherwood from the Times came up from New York, and his favorite play was Small Craft Warnings. And Joe got a great review from the New York Times. So
Yeah, what did it say?
it said.